And welcome to the Alouettes Flightdeck, podcast dedicated to Montreal Alouettes football, presented by our good friends over at Royal Retros, where you don't need a time machine in order to get some sweet, sweet throwback merch. Head over to royalretros.com, use the code Flightdeck at checkout, and you will save 10% off your entire order. I'm Tim Capper. You can follow me on X or, X or Blue Sky at Repact. That's REPPACT.
Happy holidays, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Cliffy D. You can also find me on X and on Blue Sky at Cliffy D.
Yes. Happy holidays to everybody. We are, a tradition that we have started, I think it was last year that we actually started, even ever since we've gone video. Our premiere and our season finale are live. So we are live. So any mistakes, like I just did at the very beginning, I can't go back and redo.
You only get one chance to make a first impression.
There you go. That's it. That's it. It is our, as I said, it is the last show of our 10th broadcast season. I know we want to talk a little bit about that. But it is also our season finale for the 2025 season also. And obviously we were looking forward to 2026, but I tell you, man, we're thinking, as you're saying, it's 2020, 2025 was such a very interesting season, to say the least. I know that coming into it, I honestly never thought, I've been doing podcasting for such a long time, for 20 plus years. And I'm very impressed, and I'm very proud to say that we've gone 10 broadcast seasons, and expanded what we have done over the years, from just audio itself to now video and audio and everything in between. It's just a culmination of everything that's led up to this 10th season.
Yeah, it is definitely a landmark occasion. I mean, 10 broadcast seasons is impressive. 300 plus episodes now, we can definitely say, are under our belt. We've seen this Alouettes team go through the highs, the lows, everything in between. We've seen and done a lot of stuff in these 10 seasons, Tim. And, for you folks that have been along the ride from day one, or if this is your first time checking out the Alouettes Flightdeck, we appreciate each and every one of you that's clicked, that's subscribed, that's followed, that comes up to us at the games and say, hey, man, we really love the show. We really appreciate what you guys do. Believe me, folks, I say it all the time, and I don't want to sound cliche or corny, but it really does mean a lot to Tim and I that, you guys are listening, you are subscribing, and you are showing the love and letting everybody know about the Flightdeck as well. I mean, it has been such a blast to do this. As I've said, I was telling people at Grey Cup, yeah, we've been doing this for 10 seasons, and God willing, we'll do it for another 10 seasons. I mean, as long as someone's willing to watch us talk about football, talk about the Montreal Alouettes, we're going to keep doing this. And yeah, we've come a long way. And I keep saying this all the time, and it's so true, though. I still feel like we've got so much more ground to cover. We still got so many more mountains to climb. We've come a long way, but we're far from over. We're far from done. We've got so much more left to do still, as far as I'm concerned. So, this is tonight's going to be a good opportunity to thank each and every one of you that's watched the show, whether it's on YouTube, watching us live here on X, Facebook Live, or on YouTube as well. Or just downloading the podcast to listen to on your lunch break, or on the drive home or anything like that. However you consume this podcast, ladies and gentlemen, we are so thankful. We appreciate each and every one of you that has come along on this ride for us. And tonight, we're just going to have some fun. We're just going to talk about the season that was. We're going to talk about, a couple of housekeeping items that we have to take care of as well. But, we're going to talk about the season that was for the Montreal Alouettes, for us here at the Flightdeck. And we want you, the listeners, the viewers, to be a part of this as well. So, throw some stuff in the comments, throw us a couple of likes as well if you can. That we really appreciate that too. This is your show as well, ladies and gentlemen. So make sure you come on board, get interactive. We want to talk to each and every one of you.
Yeah, by all means, put something in the chat, and we'll have anything to say. Please chime in, as Cliff was saying. It's funny as it seems to be, and I'm sure every show goes through it, at least weekly show that goes through this. We run into issues where we finish our show like we did last week, and news comes out the next day, and that's what happened. I mean, it's something that we have to talk about because, we had just finished talking about free agency and the guys who the Owls we felt that should assign and potentially the guys that would not come back. And we got that type of news. Just after talking, it's funny. The last couple of years we were talking about, that one year where we thought for sure that Reggie Stubblefield was gonna get signed, and he wasn't. And then you and I both last week for sure thought Darnell Sankey was going to get re-signed. And well, no, he won't be. He was released by the team. They came to an agreement. And okay, I'm going to ask you this. Are you surprised? Usually, when you have a guy who asks for his release, especially this time where he becomes basically a free agent, no restrictions. Usually he's signed with a team almost immediately, or it's almost announced. Are you surprised that Darnell Sankey has not been signed or been announced by any other team?
I gotta say, I am a little bit when you put it that way, because you're right. The minute when the team releases you and you called a mutual parting of the ways, whatever the case may be with Darnell Sankey, that's exactly what this was just he thinks the grass is greener on the other side, and I don't fault him for that. But yeah, you would think, okay, then someone is going to come along and say, yeah, we want this guy on our team. And yeah, as of today, no one's signed him yet. So I don't know what the story is. One would assume that, okay, if the team's made it clear to him that, what, you're not in our future projects and we're going to give you the opportunity to catch on somewhere else, which I think is a very noble thing to do when you think about it. I mean, to give someone the opportunity to, hey, if you can get a contract somewhere else, if you think you can keep going the way you have been somewhere else, then we're not going to stop you. We're not going to get in your way. Which Danny Machocha last year, when the decision was made for Davis Alexander to be QB1 of the Montreal Alouettes, where did that leave Cody Fajardo? I'm like, well, he wasn't going to be a backup, and the team made it very clear that they didn't think it would be a good idea to have him here even as a backup. One, because you'd still be paying him his regular salary, and he was not going to take a pay cut, in order to stay on this team. So they did what they felt was the best opportunity they gave Cody the best opportunity for himself to catch on elsewhere by trading him to the Edmonton Elks. And look what happened to him. I mean, he had a phenomenal season once it got going. And I can't help but wonder now if this is what Darnell Sankey is hoping for, is that he can catch on somewhere else and still play at the elite level that he has been. I mean, in a perfect world, he'd still be a Montreal Alouette. I mean, he still has plenty of gas left in the tank, and he's the kind of guy that you simply do not want to face again. So, for me, I think it seems like Montreal is committed to making the linebacking position a little more national, a little more Canadian, and that's evidenced by the subsequent extension of Jeffrey Contin-Arcou, who also too in his media scrum had mentioned that he's ready to take on that role. He's ready to take on the role that Sankey had with his team. Those are big words, and if he can back them up, all the better. But it's clear now that the Montreal Alouettes want to make this position more Canadian, wants to make the linebacker position a little more Canadian. If they can pull it off, amazing. That's great. I mean, yeah, we're definitely going to miss Darnell Sankey as a Montreal Alouette, and obviously wish him all the best with whichever team he signs with. I mean, and who knows? Maybe he doesn't even sign with the CFL team. Maybe he goes back to the spring league. Maybe you never know, right? Maybe there's an NFL opportunity for him. I can't see it at his age. I'm not putting him down or anything like that, but one would think if he was going to go to the NFL, he would have done it by now. And it just leads me to believe that, okay, maybe it is a CFL team or another football league is going to rely on his services. Only time's going to tell. But yeah, to make a long story short, yeah, I too am surprised that we haven't heard a word of where Darnell's going to go in his post-Montreal Alouette career.
Now, you were just talking about Jeffrey Contin-Arcou, who was re-signed also by the Alouettes to a multi-year contract. And you're just mentioning it, the comments from him and also from Danny Machocha in, I think it was, there was a French language television show that he was on, talked about specifically when it came to, as you said, trying to make the position Canadian, a little bit more Canadian. But it also brought up the thought, and this is what we talked about last week when it came to the potential of will he or won't he meaning Marc-Antoine Dequoy, be re-signed by the Alouettes. Now, if you go look at through all the guys that the Alouettes have re-signed so far, and which we will go through here in a couple of minutes, what does it tell you with the comments, not merely what Kenton Arcus said, but what Danny Mac has said? Considering, as we know, that there is going to be an increase in the salary cap to about $6.2 million, unless there is an increase like there was last year that comes from the CFLPA. Thoughts on the comments that Danny Mac is making? Now, obviously, I know Danny's not gonna tip his hand on anything. He never really does. He's always been able to keep things close to his vest. What are your thoughts when you hear comments that Danny makes when it comes to Marc-Antoine Dequoy and what he wants this team to become in 2026?
Well, it's kind of what we talked about as far as how we feel about Marc-Antoine Dequoy. I mean, we definitely like him. We definitely think he's a phenomenal player, but at the same time, you start looking at some of the it factors or the X factors when it comes to him. And is there a need to blow your brains out to sign Marc-Antoine Dequoy if you're the Montreal Alouettes? And I'm going to say no. No, you do not. I mean, you definitely offer him a contract. You definitely try to sell him on the idea of, listen, you are a beloved figure in the province of Quebec. You should be playing your football in the province of Quebec. You know, we're not going to offer you a league minimum contract just for the sake of offering something, but at the same time, we can't be offering you the crazy money that guys like Tyson Philpott and Pierre-Olivier Stage are pulling in, and other guys in the league too are getting those paydays. And once again, it all comes back to Tyson Philpott as far as setting the bar as far as Canadian players getting paid. So I know Marc-Antoine's looking at that as well, and if that's his priority, if that's his raison d'etre right now is, listen, I got to get paid, then it can't be with Montreal. I'm sorry to say. I mean, if he wants to be a part of this team that he's helped grow and foster into a championship caliber team, I'm not saying he should stay and play for free, obviously, but you can't sign him to a crazy contract. And one has to wonder, just what is Marc-Antoine looking for? Does he want to still be a part of this nucleus? Does he still want to be a part of this team that's been to the Grey Cup 2 out of the past 3 seasons?
Yeah.
Or is he just like, F it, I got to get paid, and you know, if that means I got to go play in BC or Calgary or Hamilton or any place like that, then that's what I got to do. So it's going to make for an interesting couple of weeks, because I mean, we're getting close to the holiday, the holiday break. So I don't think we're going to see too many. I don't think we're going to see a Christmas Day signing. Let's put it that way. But decisions are going to have to be made on this defense, and Marc-Antoine is definitely one of those decisions that have to be made. And I will say that I would not be mad to see Marc-Antoine Dequoy stay with the Montreal Alouettes, but if he decides that it's time to get paid and paid handsomely, then all we can say is, just like we do with Sankey, is just thank him for his service and wish him all the best wherever he goes, because we talked about this too. Arthur Hamlin and Nate Beauchemin are waiting in the wings. Hamlin's already shown that he can play the position, maybe not quite to the same degree that Marc-Antoine does, because again, those are some pretty big shoes to fill, but he did a very admirable job when Dequoy was out due to injury this year. And you know, Beauchemin too has been doing some some really great things on special teams, and could possibly slot into that spot as well, or at least be a solid backup to Arthur Hamlin. So it's not like the Alouettes are without options at the safety position. So it's not like signing Marc-Antoine Dequoy is going to fill an immediate need and you've got nothing to worry about. It becomes more of a nice to have kind of thing, which again, if you can get him at a great price, it's nice to have him. It's nice for him to still be that symbol of Quebec pride as a member of the Montreal Alouettes. But you know that Danny Manchosa is not going to go blow his brains out for anybody, especially Marc-Antoine Dequoy. So it's going to be a very interesting chess match over the next couple of weeks, but we'll see what happens. Listen, we've made it clear how we feel, you know, and whatever happens. But it's definitely making for interesting discussion amongst fans, media people, and what have you as to what the future holds for one Marc-Antoine Dequoy.
And it's interesting too, because we've seen as with Tyson gets paid, And then we see this week with Brady Oliveira and Winnipeg's getting paid. It's been very interesting for Canadian players, obviously, and I Mark and he's not going to be getting that type of money. It's going to be something in between or potentially lower, in my opinion, from what Tyson's being paid. But as you said, we got Canadian content in the wings. So
yeah, you talk about the hometown discount.
Mm-hmm.
You talk about the hometown discount, and some players are willing to take that. And if Marc Antoine is willing to take that as well, like I said, you don't pay him peanuts. He's a great Cup champion. He's really done some incredible things as a member of the Montreal Alouettes. You can't don't insult him with a low ball offer. But at the same time, if Danny Maciocia were to offer him, say, $300,000 a season for four seasons, my head would explode, and not in a good way.
If I'm not mistaken, if Mark got that money, wouldn't he be outpacing what QB Fun would be getting? And that's not going to, no. And we know how Davis feels about, he's there to play for the team. He's even said he just want to be one of the top paid quarterbacks in the league. But yeah, I don't, again, as you said, it's something to watch. Considering, again, as he's already stated, who the guys have who are playing behind him. So stay tuned. That's all we can say. It's like all the television shows right now are having their fall finales. The Alouette season ends with a cliffhanger. So I guess we'll see what happens once the spring premiere comes about in 2026, if that's the case.
Well, and we know that Marc Antoine's been doing a lot of reality shows here in Quebec, and one of the best ways that they kind of go to commercial break is by saying, basically saying, tune in après la pause when we come back.
Exactly.
So that, as you said, leave him on a cliffhanger. What will happen to Marc Antoine? Maybe we have to wait till 2026 to find out. So tune in après la pause.
There you go. Let's talk about some of the other signings that the Alouettes did. And we talked about this, and the one today, we'll talk about the one today, and then I'll let you talk about the other ones that we've had. We've had some. I haven't had many, but we've had some. One of the guys that we felt that the Alouettes should keep and re-sign is a very integral part of the team, especially on special teams, but also has done a great job now that he has been healthy, especially in 2025, is Tyrell Richards. The Alouettes re-upped him for another year for 2026. Are you surprised that it's only, we don't know the circumstances behind it, only choosing for a 1-year contract, but are you surprised that it was only a 1-year contract? Not necessarily that they re-signed him, because I think that we thought that he was going to re-sign with the Owls, but it was only a 1-year contract.
A little bit surprised, just in the sense that, as we discussed earlier with Jeffrey Conte-Arcou, basically someone that is of the same vein of a Tyrell Richards, in the sense that they both play the linebacking position. They can both occupy the middle in the linebacking core, and could be that 1-2 punch that the Alouettes are looking for. Again, this is based on the play of those two guys. That's why you can say adios to Darnell Sankey and feel confident knowing that, these two guys are going to be more than capable of carrying the load that he represents. So if you're going to sign Jeffrey Conte-Arcou, then it almost feels like a foregone conclusion that you're also going to sign Tyrell Richards as well. Now, yes, it's kind of interesting. It's only 1 year, and maybe that was Tyrell's choice. Maybe it was simply a matter of bet on yourself and showcase that, hey, I played my ass off last year. I was healthy all year. I did some amazing things. I led the team in special teams tackles. I did some pretty outstanding stuff. So, yeah, you got to pay me what I'm worth. And Danny Maciocia obviously is willing to reward hard work, willing to reward, success. And Tyrell Richards brings success. And he certainly brought it this year. So for him and Conte-Arcou to be that, as I said, 1-2 punch, just like they were when they were both at Syracuse University. And we learned that at Grey Cup when we spoke with Jeffrey Conte-Arcou, is that he and Tyrell even have been mistaken for each other, which is hilarious when you think about it. I mean, if you look at those two guys face to face, or side to side, I should say, you'd be hard pressed to see them as twins. But apparently a lot of people like to confuse those guys. It's pretty funny when you think about it. but they both play a very similar style of football. Like they're both hard hitting, physical, not afraid to throw their bodies and throw their weight around. To me, that's what's going to make this linebacking core, along with Tyrese Beverett, just so dangerous. And it wouldn't surprise me too if Danny Machocha adds another piece to the puzzle. Like there's another potential linebacker out there that can be that, a part of that, dangerous front seven for the Montreal Alouettes. Or maybe there's a draft pick that he's maybe got his eye on that, bring him in. And just in that same vein that they did with Kante Arku and Richards, develop them and let them grow and just add on to it. And then you've got those guys, and then you've basically got this national position sewn up for quite some time now. So I don't know if that's the thought process of Danny Machocha when it comes to the linebacking position, how he sees this linebacking core goes. But I mean, if that's the case, then they're well on their way. And for Tyrell to only sign for 1 year still feels to me like, okay, I feel I should be making this much money. And was this year the first year in a long time since he's been with the Montreal Alouettes that he's been 100% healthy and played all 18 games?
Yeah.
Maybe it's sort of a safeguard. Like, okay, I know you were able to do this, but can you do it again? Maybe if you do it again, then we can talk a longer term or more money or what have you. So again, we don't know the details of the 1 year contract that Tyrell signed, but just the fact that he's coming back to be a part of this. And as I said, strengthen that linebacking position from a national perspective. That's just good news all around as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. And I too wish it had been more than a year, but maybe we'll be able to get some thoughts from Tyrell or from his camp on why it was actually just a 1 year deal itself. Obviously, at least it hasn't come out yet. The money hasn't come out yet, hasn't been reported by anybody as far as I know as of yet. But still, it's good to have him back in the fold, because not only as we saw this year, he was a beast on special teams, setting a team record for sacks on special team for tackles on special teams, and him and Alexandre Gagne made a hell of a 1-2 punch, when it came to those guys on special teams. So, and again, now maybe he'll move a little bit more to the defensive line. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens with Tyrell. So, what was the other Alouettes signing that they have announced this week?
The Alouettes have also announced offensive lineman Cyril Hogan-Sando was signed to a 2-year extension. Again, a great depth piece, as we talked about. I mean, he wasn't, when he stepped into action, he didn't look out of place, which ultimately is what you want when it comes to this defensive line. When you know that the goal is to keep Davis Alexander or whoever the quarterback is upright and give him time and space to do what he does best, or create those holes for guys like Stevie Scott and Travis Tice. I mean, Cyril has performed admirably, I feel, this year. Clearly, Danny Machocha feels the same way, to keep him around for another 2 years. Is he going to replace Pierre-Olivier Lestage? No. Is he going to replace Justin Lawrence? No. Donnie Ventrelli, Nick Callender, who we actually saw at the locker room sale this past Saturday.
Yep.
Is he going to replace those core elements? Not quite. But at the same time, you can't have too many good depth pieces. You can't have too many good Canadian offensive linemen. We talked about this time and time again. These are the kind of pieces you have to have in place. I mean, the stars are important. Don't get me wrong. Those are the guys, those are your building blocks, the foundation, if you will, for this offensive line. But Cyril Hogan-Sando is a very good depth piece, a very good ace in the hole, if you will. Like, just someone that can actually step in when these top stars do get injured or knocked out or God forbid, thrown out of a game for objectionable conduct. At least he can step in and not look out of place. And ultimately, that's what you want when it comes to your not just your offensive lineman, but anybody in general. The depth pieces that you have in place, you want to make sure that they can step in and move like without missing a beat. And Cyril's been able to do that this year. Clearly well enough that Danny Machocha feels, yep, definitely got to keep him. And it's kind of funny. Ottawa had drafted him a couple of years ago, and I don't know if they just didn't see the value in him, or maybe he really, really, really wanted to come home. I mean, not that Ottawa is so far away from Montreal, but yeah, definitely a good move to sign him in free agency last season. And equally good move to keep him on this Alouettes team beyond 2026. So, yep, those are the kind of moves we like to see.
Yeah. One thing I at least want to mention is that it really is on us. We should have double checked, but we were basing the information that we saw that was correct. That the list originally on 3 Down was listing that Cole Speaker was a free agent. We saw Cole at the locker room sale this past weekend, and he I thought it was pretty funny. He actually said as soon as his name showed up on that thing, even though that's not the case because he's with the Alouettes through 26, he was talking about how much that his phone was blowing up because of everybody was contacting him saying, "Wait a minute, are you a free agent or not?" And he's like, "No. I'm not a free agent. I'm still with Montreal through 26." So on us, we're going to do our due diligence, by the way. So that's a mea culpa for last week. But it's still good to see that at least now knowing that Cole is going to be with the Alouettes through 26.
Absolutely. And yeah, just again, clerical errors happen all the time. I mean, we'll never dismiss or doubt what 3 Down Nation does. I mean, they definitely do some incredible work, and sometimes things slip through the cracks. Nobody's fault. It happens. It is what it is. And yeah, we kind of looked a little silly, and like Cole's looking at us like we're crazy. Like, what are you talking about? I'm sticking around. Like, oh, good. I'm glad you're sticking around. But again, that's at least one less headache for Danny Machuch to have to worry about, because again, as we mentioned, there are a couple of pending free agents when it comes to the receiving position. So whether or not they stick around with the Alouettes or go elsewhere, or maybe Danny decides to bring in other receivers, again, only time's going to tell. There's a lot of time between now and February, but at least, folks, you don't have to worry about Cole Speaker. He's good. And he told us he's actually sticking around in Montreal all winter. So if you see him, by all means, say hello to him. Like, poor guy. I don't know how he's going to feel about Montreal winters, but these guys will learn. I mean, Austin Mack learned, Tyson Philpott learned, a lot of these guys, they realize, hey.
Darnell stayed too, right? If I'm not mistaken, didn't Darnell also stay?
I think so, and I know Wesley Sutton too stayed a little bit longer than usual. I mean, he did eventually go back to Arizona for a spell, but I don't blame him, quite frankly. I mean, any chance I can get out of the winter, I certainly would. So, yeah, but props to these guys that are sticking around, that are setting up roots here in Montreal. That ultimately too is what you want to see. Like, when someone gets that vote of confidence from the general manager or from the organization saying, yeah, we want you to be a part of this team for years to come, then absolutely, like that's the motivation that they need to stay around, to set up roots here in Montreal. If you have a family, or you're starting a family and you've got them living here year round, to be a part of this community.
Yeah.
Ultimately, as an Alouettes fan, that's what you want to see. You want to see that dedication level, that we believe in you and you're believing in us. And to me, that's just great. So, Cole, I hope you enjoy Montreal winters. You probably won't. I don't, and I've been living here nearly all my life, and you think you can get used to it, but you really can't. So, if you decide you want to duck out for some sun, ain't no one going to blame you.
No, nobody's going to blame you. You know what? Let's. I'm going to quick audible here, since we were talking about Cole, and we know we have a lot to talk about when it comes to the thing in review. Let's quickly talk about what happened this past weekend with the locker room sale. Got to still give a shout out, at least, because I think,
by the way,
they did a good job. They really did do a good job with everybody that came, the players that were there. And we learned a ton of stuff. I mean, tell me what did you take away? Anything in particular from the locker room sale that stood out to you specifically?
I know they've had different alterations of how they want to handle, especially the game worn stuff. We've seen instances where it pays to be a season ticket member, because the season ticket holders have early access to the game worn stuff. So if you want to get a jersey or a helmet or anything like that of a particular player, as a season ticket holder, you basically have a much better chance of doing it than, say, Joe fan coming in off the street that just found out about the sale. In the past, though, they've had silent auctions. They've had other sort of almost like a lottery system to try and see who would get this jersey or this helmet or what have you. And also interesting too, like it's amazing how a lot of players do take their own stuff with them. Like they make the conscious effort to keep a lot of this stuff, and the ones that don't, it's basically a free-for-all for anybody who wants to get their hands on some game worn merchandise. This is the opportunity to do so. Now this year, some stuff was available at the locker room sale. Some stuff was available online in an auction, on an auction site. I can't say one way or another if there's a right way or a wrong way of doing it, but I mean, it's always interesting to see what does become a part of how Alouettes fans get to interact with this team, as well as get a piece of that team, if you will. And because the team was in the Grey Cup this year, some of the helmets did have the Grey Cup sticker on the back.
Yep.
So that they're legit. That these were actually on the field in Winnipeg. And for some people, that's what they want. They want that little piece of history, if you will. So for them,
of course,
they're willing to pay that price. And if the Alouettes are not going to stop anyone from investing in that. So overall, though, the setup I think is fine. I didn't find there was too many incredible deals for merch. I mean, if you wanted to get some Christmas shopping done, yeah, you had the opportunity, and some stuff was on sale, but it didn't feel like it was like there was no massive bargains or anything like that. And
no,
what
are you talking about? You got yourselves a helmet for $300 less than you did for the Grey Cup season.
This was a Grey Cup season. They just didn't win the Grey Cup.
Well, no, yeah, a Grey Cup winning season, yeah.
See, that's the difference. I guess winning a Grey Cup buys the opportunity for the team to soak you for another 300 bones. But
FOMO. I got caught up in it too.
There is something to be said for FOMO. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, and it's true. I agree with you. They did a good job. I mean, it was normal stuff. Over the years, I have had so much when it comes to merchandise. I don't need anymore, just like you. And if we happen to see something this year, as we can see, this is one of the things that they were selling this year, but you had to really notice because these are, they had all the stuff from the playoffs and the Grey Cup. As you can see, this is the one from the Grey Cup. And has the playoff patches, and it has the first year of the flags. And this is one of the things that I wanted to point out. We saw this on social media too, which garnered quite a bit of traction. Is that for the 2025 issued jerseys, and you can tell, you just can't see in this picture. Below it is a tag that says 2025. By the way, it says "Je te plumerai," and this just goes along with, in my opinion, I don't know what you think. It just goes along with the lore that Coach Moss has been instilling with his teams over the past couple of years. To put the slogan of the 425 inside the collar of the jerseys this year is so cool. I said it just expands what Coach is doing more recently when it comes to bringing everything of Quebec into the team itself, despite whether if you are a Canadian, a Quebecer, or if you are an American or elsewhere, or you're Mexican, as an example too, with Maltos Diaz. But what were your thoughts when you saw this for the very first time? Because I will admit, I said you had to be very careful to make sure you chose one that had it there, because not all of them did.
Yeah, so this is proof positive. This is a 2025 jersey that was worn on the field in Winnipeg during the Grey Cup. So this is proof positive. I mean, the playoff patches were a dead giveaway to that as well. What you don't see here is the mobile tramp stamp, as we like to call it.
Yes.
But that's on there too.
Yep.
But yeah, this is the first time ever seeing on an Alouettes uniform something on the collar. Now, a lot of sports teams are doing this. Like they'll put like some sort of like catchphrase or something that sort of speaks to the team itself, like some sort of rallying cry, or something.
The Canadiens have one this year.
they've had it for a couple of years now.
Yeah.
From the two flailing hands, we throw the torch.
Yep.
So like that's again, if you're a Montreal Canadiens fan, you know exactly what that means. Other teams have done similar things, whether it's hockey, football. I don't think basketball is really done. I've never seen it on basketball, but hockey and football seem to be
they've
very
done their
prevalent
thing
with
though.
that.
Now remember that for basketball jerseys, they put every time you've won a Grey Cup, an NBA championship, they put a little thing. You can see it's like a little banner on the back. How many times that a team has won the championship? So like the Raptors, they have one that says has one on it. So
okay, so again, all this to say that yes, this is not a new thing for sports teams to do, but it is something new for the Alouettes to do. This is something we've never seen. If you were to buy like a replica jersey, you wouldn't see this on there. So it's definitely a very inside thing. Definitely literally it's inside the collar, but it's definitely something that is very much a part of the team and something that they may use too as sort of a chance to bolster or hype up the team as much as possible.
A rallying cry. Yeah,
essentially. And to hear that it comes, it was taken from the rallying cry of the 425 Squadron of the Royal Canadian Air Force that the team is named after. It's pretty cool. It's funny though, because je te plumerai loosely translated means I will pluck you. Now, again, if you know the song Alouette, from which it came from, you're singing that to the bird. Like the bird's not the one doing the plucking. So I can see how some people would sort of take it as, well, that makes no sense. Like this is dumb. But knowing that it comes from the fighting squadron, the 425, who that was their cry was, I will pluck you, je te plumerai, meaning that when they go to war, they're going after you. So be ready, kind of thing. So yes, it's a very interesting thing to see on the jerseys as well. And like if you were at the locker room sale and there's actually quite a few jerseys that, even though we talked about a lot of the guys decided to keep their jerseys, which again is certainly they're well within their rights to do so. But others that let their jerseys go on sale, I mean, if you didn't get a chance to grab them, I mean, that's a hell of a keepsake as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. And secondary, this is one of the things that we saw earlier that we made a comment about on social. We spoke with Nick Calendar, who was there, and we wanted to know if there was some significance to this. And as soon as he told us, Cliff, for both of us, it kind of rung a bell. It's like we knew what this meant. It just we didn't even think about it because we didn't get the reference at that point. And basically, as we found out, if anybody remembers the championship rings, on the championship rings, there was something very similar to what is currently here that's on the screen, which is Coach. If you're only listening to us, obviously you can come over and watch us here on YouTube, the full broadcast version. But you're looking at the patch that we put on social media that Coach Moss was wearing on the back of his cap for the Grey Cup. It's basically a nod to every single type of player that is on the team. From and help me if help me here, Cliff, because I know I'm trying to remember. Obviously, I didn't write it down. I should have. I didn't. The dots themselves are equate to every single type of player that's on the team. Mm-hmm. The A, if I'm not mistaken, I think the blue for the A is the U.S. players. Right? So far, I'm okay.
Yeah.
The U, if anybody knows, it looks like a little chapeau on top. That's for the global players. The O, if I think, are Canadians.
Yes.
And what's the other T?
If I recall, I know that Nick had explained it to us, and essentially, he basically said all the letters represent all of us, like how we all come from different walks of life, different cities, countries, what have you. Like that's what the idea was. These are all bits and pieces of everybody all coming together. And one thing I couldn't help but notice, but here you see here at the end, the TES, which in French is te, yours. I wonder if that's a little nod as well to, the French language, the province of Quebec. Like, this is your team.
Maybe.
I mean,
obviously, We'll try to get more. Maybe we can get when we get Coach Moss in the new year on the show. We'll get him to explain it even more in detail because Nick did a great job. It's just Tim's bad luck that he didn't write it down or tape it. So,
and you call yourself a journalist?
God, come on. But yeah, by all means, and as I said, any of this type of stuff we love, and we're hoping that just bringing this information to you again. Do you agree with me, Cliff? It's just it's the teachings of what Coach Moss is doing is just growing exponentially every year by every single thing that he's doing, including, if I remember people earlier in the year, the captain's coins. They were captain's coins that were given out each week, and they were given to them by a general. So whatever Coach Moss is doing, keep it up.
Well, and the nice thing is he will be keeping it up all the way through 2028. So
there you
go. We talked about earlier with building the building blocks, the foundation of a team. And we're not, we were talking about the players in a sense, but also too, Coach Moss is doing that with how this team approaches each and every day, whether it's coming to work and preparing for the next game or preparing for a Grey Cup or even just going into training camp. Like, Coach Moss has talked about the importance of recognizing the city of Montreal, the province of Quebec, the 425. And for players that don't know what that means, they get an education on that really quickly. And the fact that these guys are expected to learn at least a little bit of French in order to immerse themselves with not just with their teammates, but with their fans as well. Because yes, this is the vast majority of Alouettes fans are Francophone and yes, can speak some English, but obviously are more French. So a lot of these American players too, this is their opportunity to learn something new, to learn why it's so important to immerse yourself in the culture of the city that you're playing in the province that you're playing in, and so on. And these guys have bought in. These guys get it 100%. And we saw it throughout the year. I mean, even like these fan events too. Like, I mean, you hear these American players be like, bonjour, merci. And, and they admit, okay, I really don't know too much, but just the fact that you're trying, that you're making the effort speaks volumes. Yeah. It really does. I mean, a little really does go a long way when it comes to that. And don't be surprised if, as these players stick around for, 2, 3, 4 years or so on, and really do become members of this team and parts of this community, that those little bits of French become bigger and bigger. I mean, look at Anthony Calvillo. When he first came to Montreal, kid from California, didn't speak a lick of French, but married a Montrealer, raising kids here in Montreal, and now he is as bilingual as they come. I mean, he'll be the first to tell you it's still not great, but the fact that he's able to converse in French for the most part, is pretty outstanding. I mean, and what better example of Jason Moss's teachings than to go take a look at the original QB1 in Anthony Calvillo. Like, since he's been a coach here, and just be like he knows what it's like to live in this community, to be a part of things, and to grow with an organization. And it all reflects back to, well, you're living here year round, you're a part of this community, you better learn the language, and he did, and it's opened up so many doors for him as well. I mean, like even before he came back to the Montreal Alouettes as a coach, it's tremendous what he has become here. And I'm sure a lot of the other players too, as long as they stay here and are willing to be a part of this organization and everything that entails with it, don't be surprised if you start seeing a lot of these guys too being able to converse a little bit more in French. I mean, it'll have a very heavy English accent, no doubt, but the fact that these guys would be even willing to try to say a couple of phrases in French, that's massive. No question in my mind that all the Francophone Alouettes fans love every second of it. They love the effort. They love just the fact you're making the effort to do this is tremendous. I mean, there really is nothing like it here in the Canadian Football League or anywhere else in North America when you think about it.
One quick thing too, by the way, because we're talking about the building blocks of a family and of a team itself. The Alouettes did lose a part of their coaching family. Coach Greg Quick was actually snatched away by the Toronto Argonauts and will now becoming part of their organization. So now, Cliff, Speaking of new building blocks, now that leaves the Alouettes with potentially needing 2 new coaches for the 2026 season. So I'm sure Danny Machocha and also Coach Noel Thorpe are going to have some work to do when it comes to replacing these guys and making sure that they are the right fit for the 2026 team.
Yeah, and also in addition to that, you mentioned Greg Quick, but also to Luc Brodeur-Jourdain also announced his retirement from the team. Yeah, definitely 2 key coaching members of this organization. Greg Quick is leaving for an upgraded position, so that's in case you're wondering why he's left, is because he's now have the opportunity to be a defensive coordinator, which he was before with the Argos. I think back in 2015, if I'm not mistaken. It's tough to lose good coaches, and I mean, Greg Quick, I've always loved the way he approaches.
I'm gonna miss him at camp. I really am gonna miss him at camp, especially day one.
Yeah, because he's a firecracker. Oh my word! I mean, I also think back to in 2023, the Eastern semifinal, when that brouhaha took place on the field. He was ready to throw hands with anybody and everybody. And I love that. That old man energy was just amazing. And it's such a good guy to talk to. So, yeah, he without question, Coach Quick will definitely be missed. Luc as well is, again, as a player and as a coach, has become woven into the fabric of the Montreal Alouettes. I mean, he is a Montreal Alouette through and through. And again, there's no doubt some circumstances that we'll find out about after the fact, because your first thought is, why would you leave? Like, this is what you've been working towards. This is everything you've wanted ever since you retired, was to be coaching this Alouettes on this Alouettes team. All I can say is, we hope the best for him. Whatever where his career path takes him, there's no question in my mind he will be successful. And it's just, yeah, as you alluded to, now Coach Moss, Coach Thorpe, all these other guys now they've got some work ahead of them. Like, who can they add to this roster that's going to help maintain the standard that's been set now? As we said, 2 Grey Cups in the past 3 years being a part of. That's no small feat, let me tell you. So you want to make sure you hire the right people for the job. And, there's a coach out there that's just been waiting for an opportunity like this to come in and showcase what they can do. Do they promote from within? I'm not sure where and how. Again, it depends on the coaching assistants that are in place. I mean, would any of them get a shot at this potential opportunity for one or both? I guess we'll see. But yeah, suffice to say, this coaching staff, again, they're not screwed by any stretch. I mean, listen, you don't want to lose guys like this, but at the same time, this just does open up an opportunity for someone else to come in and hopefully do just as well as what these gentlemen did, if not better. So I'm not too worried about, the decisions that Coach Moss makes, because we've seen what he's been able to do in the 3 seasons that he's been at the helm here in Montreal. So it's almost in Moss we trust, and in Thorpe we trust. I mean, they're going to make whatever decision they make. I'm going to feel confident that it's the right decision to make this team just as good, if not better, than they were the year before.
And it's even if they hire a coach and we're like, who? The guy will have enough. The man or woman will have enough. They will have impressed them enough for them to hire them. So,
without question,
yeah. We're on social media. You can find us almost anywhere. If you're looking to find our entire 10 plus, it's going to be 10 plus seasons, really. 10 seasons of the Alouettes Flight Deck. You can head over to first anywhere. Just look for us on any of the podcast aggregates. Just do a search for Alouettes Flight Deck. Or you can head over to our full archive over at www.alouettesflightdeck.ca. You can also find us on X or Blue Sky over at Alouettes FL Deck, Facebook over at Alouettes Flight Deck Pod, and Instagram and YouTube over at Alouettes Flight Deck. Speaking of YouTube, you can find the full broadcast version. You can find the audio version, and you can find our post-game show, Flight Deck Live. Everything will be there every week for every Alouettes game, including camp, including those special episodes. But everything is there over on YouTube. Also, if you haven't liked it, make sure you do hit the bell button, and you will know when we do go live, like tonight, or when we have a new show that does become available. Looking for merchandise. Won't get it in time for Christmas, but you can head over to flightdeckgear.ca. You can try to grab some of our logo merch or part of our If You Know, You Know line. Cliff.
What's this? Could it be a, oh, look at that.
Oh, yes.
The Big Mac.
Yeah.
This was part of our lineup this year. So, showing the love to the Big Mac himself, Austin Mac, and immortalizing him on the t-shirt. We've also got lots of other great logos and logo merch as well. So by all means, folks, head on over to flightdeckgear.ca. Tim's right. You're not going to get it for Christmas, I'm sorry to say, but order it anyways, because at least you'll be ready for camp next year. I mean, if nothing else. And just being able to rock this stuff year round too. I mean, you can't go wrong as far as I'm concerned.
Nope. And we do got some new ones coming in the new year, so stay tuned. Part of some new additions to the If You Know, You Know line. If not, go with the tried and true. The Cartoon Bird 56 t-shirt, by all means. We also want to thank our collaborator, pinforce.io. They are a company that was just an absolute joy to work with in our when we were trying to help with the initiative for the CFL Fans Fight Cancer initiative. They were able to create a very popular set of pins that went through 2 runs. Cliffy, I'll show them again. The Cartoon Bird 56 enamel pin, and the pin that also had the Alouettes Flightdeck logo. Again, it's a great job Lou and his company does. If you are looking to do something similar, please contact me or DM me, and I'll make sure you get in touch with him. But for now, you can head over to pinforce.io if you like. When it comes to comic book stuff, when it comes to Star Trek, there's some Star Trek stuff there. There's also some historical arena football stuff. You can head over there and use the code Flightdeck at checkout and save 15% off your entire order through December 31st. And also, finally,
sorry, I was just going to say, as far as those pins that you saw, if you wanted them, sorry folks, we truly are sold out. We sold the last of them. Those are my pins that you see. So in case you're wondering, well, hey, you got pins. I'm like, yeah, they're mine. So unfortunately, like I said, will we do another run of pins? I think so, more than likely, but you'll just have to wait and see. But again, thank you to each and every one of you that did help us sell out not 1, but 2 runs of these pins, which is absolutely phenomenal. I mean, we're talking, fans, players, everybody was interested in these pins, which I'm blown away by, and more than happy to hand over money and send e-transfers and just whatever it takes to get their hands on these pins. They did. And we were able to take those funds and donate to the CFL Fans Fight Cancer Initiative this year at Grey Cup. We'll be doing another donation for the Grey Cup in Calgary next year. We'll be doing, without question, we're going to be doing another thing as well. So yes, definitely stay tuned to our socials. Thank you again to Pinforce for making these amazing, absolutely amazing pins.
Yeah.
And thank you to each and every one of you that bought these pins. Thank you again for helping us help the CFL Fans Fight Cancer Initiative. It is amazing. We're not keeping any profit from this, folks. Every profit or proceed that we got from these pins was being donated to charity. We made that clear right from the get-go. And we just want people to buy these pins, to wear them, represent the podcast, which we appreciate. But again, to help, such a great cause like the CFL Fans Fight Cancer Initiative, to us, that was a no-brainer. So again, thank you to each and every one of you that purchased them. You made a difference. Without question, you made a big difference.
Yeah. And finally, but not least, our presenting sponsor, Royal Retros. What can I say? We're very
awesome.
lucky to have them as a sponsor this year. Very lucky to have them. They are, even though they are a first-year sponsor with us, I've known Dustin and his group for a long time. They make some great merch, and I'm not kidding when I usually say, sweet throwback merch in my intro. It's true. It really is. They make some great stuff, And we do hope to have Dustin and his group over at Raw Retros back as a part of the flight crew in some way, shape, or form. I would love to keep them on as our presenting sponsor for the podcast. But if you go over to rawretros.com, use the code Flightdeck at checkout, you will save 10% off your entire order. 2025. It all starts obviously in St. Jerome this year. It was actually a gorgeous day at camp, and then it got cold. Just go back and check Flight Deck Live. Everybody knows what we're talking about. It just slowly, our attire completely changed in our first 3 episodes of the year. We come into camp, and we do learn sooner later on in the year that Davis Alexander, QB1, first year QB1, has he had some hamstring issues over the offseason. And it's something that you and I were able to, something didn't look right. He didn't look 100% from what we saw at camp, but still Davis looked damn good in his first chance at being QB1 and leading this franchise. First 3 games of the year, Cliff, he looked like the team looked like gangbusters. It looked like nobody could stop them. The only person that actually stopped Davis was Davis himself.
Yeah, that's the unfortunate part. And it's funny because when the Alouettes made the decision to go with Davis as QB1, QB fun as we call him, there was going to be obviously a lot of questions as far as, is he able to handle it? Was it just by sheer fluke that he played so well in 2024 in his 4 starts where he was undefeated? Can that carry over? Now that he's the man, is he able to handle that workload? Is he able to truly be the leader that this team needs? And those first 3 games were a resounding 100%. Oh, hell yeah. This is the man. He is the man. He has lived up to the hype and then some. Those first 3 games for the Montreal Alouettes, he played like a house of fire. He was just phenomenal. And fans were just excited. They were loving every second of it. I mean, the defense did their job too, and they played outstanding. But watching Davis under center was like Picasso painting. It was like just a work of art, like a conductor at an orchestra. Like just everything came together so magically, so beautifully. And the way he commanded his presence on the field was second to none. And you and I knew it, Tim. We said, give this guy the chance. He's gonna do it. He can be the man. We talked about it in all the preview shows as well. Like, as long as Davis stays healthy, don't be surprised if you see these receivers. Like, we get like multiple 1,000-yard receivers this year. Don't be surprised if you see Davis Alexander light up every team for touchdowns and set all kinds of records. Like we thought he was going to go to the moon and back and just be absolutely phenomenal. But as you stated, the one thing that got in the way of Davis Alexander and his impending success in the Canadian Football League was Davis Alexander.
And it wasn't a bad thing too. I mean, through the first 3 games, the Alouettes are averaging 35 points a game. 35 points a game. And they were 3-0 at the time. But the thing is, as he said, just that the tweet came. The tweet came, and it was a story for the rest of the season.
Whether we wanted it to be or not, it absolutely was.
Yeah, from him taking a couple weeks off, coming back way too early, I guess we can now say, versus Toronto, Toronto at home, where he did get the winning touchdown, but yet he re-aggravated it again. To all of a sudden where Danny Mac decides that, we're going to let him rest and let him heal up as quickly as possible, and he will not be ready. And as you put it, Cliff, is that do not let him come back unless he's 200%. That was unfortunately, that was going to be the growing pains that the Alouettes are going to have to go through this season. And and obviously with Davis being hurt, it left it to McLeod Bethel-Thompson, the guy that they signed after a trade, because McLeod was a free agent at the time, was going to be a free agent at the time, came over in the trade for Cody Fajardo in the offseason. But as we found out, I don't want to call him damaged goods because we found this out a little bit later on in the season. But MBT was not really the guy to lead this team. He was a guy who had a huge pedigree. Obviously, he's won championships before. He's had some great success in the CFL. But the problem is, though, it seemed that he came in also with an injury too. It had to be. It was his elbow.
Yeah,
and I'm still curious to know if it also was something that was there coming into camp, because we found out about Davis. He did his during circle routes in the off season. That's where he kind of had his tweak. MBT didn't show up until I think it was it that BC game where he ended up having the ice on his elbow afterwards. I think it was the BC game.
Actually, I think even before that, I mean, I think back to him in training camp and just not being impressed with what he did. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't a matter of, well, Davis is so great that it doesn't matter who you put out there because he's not even going to see the field. It's a simple matter of like, okay, well, what if Davis gets hurt? I want to see what MBT is able to do as a Montreal Alouette.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
I just remember being in training camp and the preseason, like he saw limited action, and what action he did see, he just looked mid at best. I'm like, I don't have a good feeling about this, if I'm being honest. I mean, we saw Caleb Evans play some pretty decent football. James Morgan looked solid as well. I thought, okay, well, could we see, and we even don't forget we also had Jonathan Senecal that was part of training camp as well. We were wondering, is the quarterback room going to be a little too crowded? Like, someone's going to have to be the odd man out, and one has to wonder, like, just based on what we saw in training camp. I mean, did MBT do enough to secure himself a spot? And ultimately, the answer was yes, of course. You obviously keep the guy with the CFL experience versus a U Sports star that did not look great in his very limited action, and just didn't get a chance to really become a part of the system. When Jonathan Senecal, Caleb Evans, of course, looks solid as we expect him to. James Morgan, okay, project down the road. I guess that had to be the thought, but all indications were MBT was going to be QB2, and that's what the Alouettes went with. But when it came time, when Davis, as you said, tweaked his hamstring enough to miss a bit of time, we thought, okay, well, MBT is going to come in and he'll be fine. I mean, maybe we didn't see the best out of him in training camp or the preseason, but maybe he's just saving it for the regular season. The only thing he was saving for the regular season, unfortunately, was mediocrity, because he just didn't look good. And as you mentioned, like with the elbow, I mean, some of his throws were just really not good. And maybe was he hiding this injury, or were the Alouettes aware and just didn't want to think about it, or hoped it never would have had to come to it? But it quickly became an issue early on when Davis Alexander wasn't playing for this team. And I think it led to them kind of trying to hurry Davis along to make sure that he was ready to go. And if he said he was ready to go, then we believe him. But like, he knows his body best. But that come from behind win at home against Toronto, where he ran in the winning touchdown, came at a big cost, because he further aggravated that injury to the point where it landed him on the 6-game list, forcing the Alouettes to have to rely on MBT and his wonky elbow. And that ended up being a recipe for, I won't say disaster, but it's definitely not the road the Alouettes wanted to go down in 2025.
No, it was a recipe where the Alouettes needed pepper, but for some reason they added salt to the wound. Ha! You see what I did there?
Very nice.
Again, and I think you're right there too, because Davis comes in versus Toronto, they get the win. MBT comes in also the next week, and they get the win in Calgary. But it really wasn't him who did anything in Calgary. He wasn't even the one that day who threw the longest pass as a quarterback. It went to somebody else. And then Caleb Evans came in BC because I think they needed the change. MBT was at that point nursing this injury.
Well, and also too, it was against Edmonton where he basically stunk out the joint, and that's where the elbow thing really came into play. because he threw an absolutely brutal pick six to Tyrell Ford of the Elks to the point where, yeah. But again, Caleb Evans comes in, to basically mop up, and then that was the first of many times that we would see MBT with a massive bandage around his elbow.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time, is it really the elbow that was the problem, or was his problem in between his ears? Because he just did not look good out there. He looked like a deer in the headlight. He had more of a deer in the headlights look about him than anything else. Like, he just did not look he didn't look like a quarterback that's won multiple games, that's won multiple championships in the Canadian Football League or anywhere else where he's gone, where he's had success. Like, he didn't look like that MBT. He just looked, as I said, mid at best and terrible at worst.
Yeah, no, I agree. But unfortunately, with Caleb coming in BC, well, we all know that usually it's a recipe for a loss, which it was for the
just showing up as a
yeah, for the umpteenth time in a row. Caleb, unfortunately, suffers another season-ending injury, and it was almost a year to the day that he suffered his other one.
Yeah,
and again, it has to do with I think it was a knee, and it's heartbreaking considering you're coming back as tough as he did. I know we saw Caleb a little bit later on in the year, and we saw him at the Grey Cup too, if I'm not mistaken.
That's right.
And it's just heartbreaking to see what happened for Caleb. We don't, and obviously him being a free agent this year, as we talked about last week, we don't know what the status is going to be, and will it be when he becomes available? Is it going to be the same type of thing when it, that happened in Toronto this past year? Will he actually be cleared to play? But then James Morgan comes in, a guy who's been with the team for a couple of years, on and off. More on this year than anything else on the active roster, because if everybody remembers, really, the Alouettes that for most of this half the season had 4 quarterbacks on the active roster. Whether that's a change, if that's happening in the CFL, that they don't want a team to be able to pick up a player off of the practice roster or not, whatever it may be. But James came in, and James just didn't. He still, we will both agree that James has an arm. He has a great arm, but it's just a matter, I think, it was just getting used to the game itself. I understand that there were a combination of other things too. We were still missing some wide receivers, so in and out with the wide receivers. Same thing when it came to the change in running backs after the Alouettes let go Walter Fletcher, with the final cuts. But James really wasn't able to really do it, and they went back to McLeod Bethel-Thompson in Saskatchewan, and then all of a sudden we get a brand new McLeod Bethel-Thompson, and he smokes, and the Owls, him and the Owls smoked the Riders, one of the the best team in the league in Regina. So we thought, oh, well, maybe something's changed. Next week, nope.
I mean, he got the win.
NBT.
Yeah, I mean, he got the win the next week against Toronto, but I mean, literally by the skin of his teeth. I mean, he just, again, you take a look at the 3 wins that MBT had as starting quarterback for the Montreal Alouettes, and I would say, truthfully, they all have asterisks. Against Calgary, the defense played absolutely outstanding, and Jose Matos Diaz was kicking field goals literally everywhere and anywhere, from anywhere and everywhere. Like, he was phenomenal. Like, that basically is why they won that game in Calgary. I would even go so far as to say they won the game in spite of MBT, not as opposed to because of MBT. The game in Saskatchewan, it was impressive. Don't get me wrong. I mean, he definitely played a lot better. He played more like the MBT that we expect him to, and to the point where I even joked, well, maybe because he plays his best football when he's in Mosaic Stadium. Don't forget, he won a Grey Cup as starting quarterback in that stadium. Played an absolutely outstanding game for the Edmonton Elks in that stadium. And look what he does with the Montreal Alouettes. He plays arguably the best game he's ever had as a Montreal Alouette. let's not forget, though, Saskatchewan was missing quite a few key starters on defense, which basically allowed MBT and Tyson Philpott to torch their secondary on numerous occasions. So that one you might be able to give to him. But that game in Toronto the next week, again, he still looked mid at best. And I feel like I'm being generous when I say that. Once again, the defense bailed them out, as well as Toronto's inability to put together a game-winning drive at the most important time. I mean, ultimately, it was more Toronto loss as opposed to MBT won with that one. So those 3 starts and those 3 wins, okay, yeah, they count in the standings. And I always say ugly games count just as much in the standings as any other. But, I mean, simply put, MBT just didn't have it this year. He kept the Alouettes just barely above, like, treading water until Davis was able to come back. But it was an adventure, and not necessarily a good one when it came to McLeod Bethel Thompson as a Montreal Alouette.
No. And then Davis comes back after more than a month off on the shelf. I was almost, and the Owls having a losing August for the first time in a hell of a long time. I have to go back and check what I put on social, but a long time that they had a winless August. Davis comes back. Davis looked good. He continued his streak. He surpassed the CFL record for most consecutive wins to start a career.
Mm-hmm.
He still has that record heading into the regular season. He has 11 straight. And yes, I understand he lost in the playoffs. But again, I'm going to refer to what we've been told and what we've mentioned before. Playoffs, postseason are completely different than the regular season. So he will go into 2026, the first game of 2026, as an undefeated Davis Alexander behind center when he starts. But still, there was a thing of making sure that they watched Davis. Making sure that he's still, even though he had been off for such a long time, that the team was going to make sure that he still did his daily routine, whatever he needed to do to make sure that it didn't flare up again. But then the playoffs come. Davis looked lights out versus Winnipeg in the East semifinal. But then the game in Hamilton. Davis from time to time would surprise us, us knowing about where he was when it comes to his hamstring. He would surprise us like he did in practice for the Grey Cup. All of a sudden, this run out of nowhere. But Davis retweaked his hamstring in the East final. What seemed to be on an innocuous play, but which it usually does. It's usually that anyway for any player.
Pretty much.
For some reason.
Non-contact injury is definitely a thing. And usually it's the worst thing, because that's when that's where your Achilles tears happen. Sometimes your ACL happens on a non-contact injury. So again, with Davis and the history of his hamstring, just in 2025 alone, the minute he starts to clutch the back of his leg, you're like, oh crap. Oh. And the Eastern final was definitely that moment too. And you talk about a contrast in games too for Davis, playing the Eastern semifinal against Winnipeg versus playing it against Hamilton in Hamilton as well for the chance to go to the Grey Cup. We've talked about how in a playoff game, you got to leave it all out there as much as possible. But in these like semifinals or even the, Eastern final, for example, like these are like, to get to the championship. So you don't want to completely, blow your brains out or empty the clip when it comes to that. You still want to have enough to go to the next game.
Right.
And I think with Davis's style, he's got that reckless kind of gunslinger mentality that, to do whatever it takes to make plays happen. And when you've been dealing with this hamstring issue like he has for the vast majority of the year, sometimes you forget that you have this. Like sometimes you start thinking you're Superman and you can do anything. And I think that instance in the Eastern final where he just started to hobble and it just started to flare up again. You're automatically thinking the worst. And I'm sure even he was thinking, no, I'm past this. It's okay. Like he was trying to will himself into being fine. And ultimately what that ended up leading to was a week of questions for him about how is the hamstring. And even when we were at Grey Cup practices, you're watching him. And at first, like the very first practice I went to, I won't say he was hesitant, but at the same time, he wasn't making the kind of plays that we would come to expect out of Davis Alexander. It was very simple, very
limited.
Thank you. That's a great way to put it. Like basically he's throwing the ball up and letting the receivers make the outstanding play, or handing off the rock to his running back and let them, do their thing. It was, it ended up becoming the story, whether he wanted it to or not, whether the Alouettes wanted it to or not. It really did end up becoming the story of the Grey Cup itself, was just how badly injured is Davis Alexander's hamstring. I mean, considering what he's gone through, as you said, all the way back in April when he was training like a beast. And I think now the lesson's been learned. Like, yeah, you want to show that you're the man. You want to show that you're the you're this means everything to you. But at the same time, they don't do anything stupid in the process. And that little tweak ended up becoming such a big deal. So gradually, I think, like you said, it started in April.
Yeah.
We saw it in training camp. Mm-hmm. And then the game against Edmonton, week 4 or week 3, I should say. And so on. Like it just all the way up literally until the Grey Cup game itself, which for Montreal to make it to the Grey Cup with Davis and this injury is a success story in and of itself. But how this became the narrative for the year. And this is why we even called one of our shows Hamstrung, because it really felt like this year the Alouettes and Davis Alexander were hamstrung by the hamstring.
No, I agree with you 100%. And I think I know Davis was just getting frustrated with all the questions about the Grey Cup, and I don't know if it took away. I think a lot of people thought it did. But if you think about it, the entire narrative at Grey Cup was, the record versus the hamstring versus Saskatchewan. And it shouldn't have been that. It should have been Montreal versus Saskatchewan. But that's unfortunately that's how it played out. That's how it played out.
And Saskatchewan too had their storylines. They had their, sort of side quests that needed to be completed as well. Like you go back to Trevor Harris, who former Montreal Alouette quarterback, ended up leaving the team to go to Saskatchewan. And he said from day one, his goal was to bring the Saskatchewan Roughriders a Grey Cup championship.
Yeah.
And give him credit. He did it. He said he was going to do it, and he did it. It took him 3 seasons to do it, but he did it. And that was ultimately also became a bit of a storyline in and of itself, because during Davis Alexander's first year here in Montreal, Trevor Harris ended up becoming QB1.
Yeah.
And Davis has always been very, upfront and said, like, he had learned so much that first season from guys like Vernon Adams, from Trevor Harris. He learned from Cody Fajardo in 2023 on how to be a starting quarterback and how to prepare and things like that. He learned a lot from a lot of these guys. So for him to go up against Trevor Harris in the Grey Cup was, I'm sure, a dream scenario for a lot of people, Davis included, because, this is like, the student versus the teacher kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that would have made this Grey Cup win even sweeter for Davis, not just going through all the trials and tribulations of his hamstring, but imagine being able to beat one of the guys that helped you become the quarterback that you are today in Trevor Harris. My God, that would have been amazing. And I don't know if Trevor Harris feels the same way about, this little pipsqueak, I helped him along, but I'm going to show him who's boss. And I guess he did, but I don't know if that's how Trevor feels, but ultimately that ultimately should have been the storyline a lot more than Davis's hamstring issues.
I completely agree. I mean, the Owls ended up going 10-8 on the season, and obviously, the whole hamstring thing was one of the huge storylines this season. But also there was the other storylines too. We were not 100% on wide receivers this year. Austin Mack had issues later on in the season when it came to his hamstring, dislocating a finger in one of the games this season. He didn't have a year like he was hoping to. One of the few guys that really did, obviously, was Tyler Snead. Considering all the quarterbacks that he had under center this year, he was able to get his first ever 1,000-yard season and make a name for himself as one of the best, one of the premier wide receivers in the league in 2025.
Cahoon 3.0. I keep calling him that, and he is uncanny, Tim, just how much he is like Ben Cahoon. I mean, little guy, short in stature, but not afraid to get hurt, not afraid to take those hits and just get those extra yards when need be. Like, you put him in the slot and he can just turn a second and long into a first down, no problem. If that means he takes a lick in doing it, so be it. He just dusts himself off and onto the next. Like, I love the way that Tyler Snead plays this game, and being roommates with Davis Alexander as well. Like that connection was almost instantaneous. So for Tyler to be able to perform well, regardless of who the quarterback is, definitely speaks to his work ethic, his that attitude he has of just coming to work and just doing everything he can to be the best possible receiver for his team, for his quarterback even. I mean, man, and he was rewarded this year as a result of that, given a 2-year extension, so that the need for Snead stays put here in the 514 is absolutely tremendous. Like, we talked earlier in this year that provided everybody stays healthy, don't be surprised if this Montreal Alouettes team has several 1,000-yard receivers. But lo and behold, it was just the one, and it was Tyler Snead. So kudos to him. I really thought he would have been the nominee for most outstanding player for the Montreal Alouettes. It said that nod went to Davis, which I'm not saying he didn't deserve that either, but I guess there isn't a minimum number of games. Like, we wondered about that because Tyler Snead, Tyson Philpott, we thought, could he win most outstanding Canadian despite being injured for half of the year? Well, I don't know if that was a factor in as well, but the fact that Davis Alexander only played 7 games for the Montreal Alouettes, but there were 7 awesome games. So maybe I guess that was enough to prove just how outstanding he truly is. And not wrong in that sense, but I truly thought it would have been Tyler. But okay, well, again, it just goes to show you never know exactly just how things will shape up. But Tyler Snead definitely was one of the pleasant surprises this year. There was many pleasant surprises, but he was definitely one of them for sure.
And then we go to the running game itself. We would come into the season, as we mentioned before, that Walter Fletcher was one of the last cuts. Very surprising to you, that considering that for that game itself, for the last preseason game versus in Ottawa, Fletch was a scratch. He didn't make the trip.
And we just assumed it's because, well, his position's safe. It couldn't be any safer, just based on the outstanding 2024 season he had, where he was arguably the best two-way player in the Canadian Football League. Mm-hmm. And we didn't see him slow down or take any plays off during training camp either. Like, we truly thought he was a foregone conclusion. It was like, okay, it's everybody else that's going to have to fight to prove that they belong on this team.
Yep, and then it went to, and I don't want to call it a running back by committee, but at times we had anywhere from 1 to 3 guys that were fully activated for the game itself. But it really came down to being the Sean Thomas Erlington show, along with Stevie Scott, the third, and then newcomer Travis Tice.
Yeah, just came literally out of nowhere and bowled everybody away, literally and figuratively, at training camp. I mean, my God, my first thought when I saw this kid was, he's like AJ Ouellette. Like, it's like trying to tackle a bowling ball. You just can't stop him. It was insane. Like, and this is the kind of running back that Montreal thrives with, is like that downhill bruiser type that just, puts his head down and lowers the shoulder and just goes and keeps churning the legs and like can turn on the jets when need be. That was the other thing too, is his speed along with Stevie Scott. Both of these guys at a moment's notice can just, kick it into overdrive.
Yeah.
Sean Thomas Erlington too showcased like late in 2024 when Fletcher was hurt that he can carry the rock if need be, and enough to the point where they said they looked at the STE, they looked at Tice, they looked at Stevie Scott, and they all said, you know what, we're good with these guys. Fletcher, thank you so much for your services, but you will not be needed any further, which again threw Alouettes fans for a loop, because again, we saw what Walter Fletcher was able to do in 2024. He was also a big part of the team from the moment he got here. Walter Fletcher was absolutely phenomenal for the Montreal Alouettes, and to see him get, cut from on the last day was just a shocker, to tell you the truth.
Mm-hmm.
And even more shocking is that he didn't latch on anywhere else. Like, I thought, okay, well, you just when I saw that he was released, like, okay, well, I can think of 8 teams right now that would love to have someone like that on their squad, and yet, strangely enough, nobody.
Yep, I know.
I wish I knew why, but I don't know. It was even to the point where, and again, this could be just a poor housekeeping by the Alouettes and the Canadian Football League. Walter Fletcher was still listed on the 6-game injured list, to the point where we had to go to Dan Machocha. I'm like, what's going on? And like, no, he's we're not hiding him. We're not anything like that. Like, unfortunately, no, he's no longer a Montreal Alouette. But like, then what the fudge is going on here? Like, I mean, what the hell?
Nice save. Nice save, Cliff.
I'm trying. Oh, listen, kids might be watching. I mean, they should be in bed, quite frankly.
You could use the Battlestar Galactica frack.
Ooh, okay.
You could use that one. But either way, needless to say, that with STE having some issues this season, it really was the emergence of Stevie Scott III and Travis Tice. Travis Tice made a name for himself. Like I said, not being the bowling ball that he is, having that punt return for a touchdown when the Alouettes were having issues, and that that's the other thing the Alouettes had to deal with this year. Probably one of the worst years when it came to special teams returns in a while. Because I know that James Letcher had some issues too this season, but it just didn't seem to be himself. So the Alouettes were basically playing, returner by committee. That really was, in that case, returner by committee. But still, we finally got to see what Stevie Scott and Travis Tice was able to do. And heading into 2026, I think we're okay. Depends on what's going to happen going forward. Will we have that third guy? What will happen with when it comes to the return game? But everything seemed to be, we always say when somebody goes down, somebody needs to step up, and that's exactly what happened when it came to the offensive side of the ball in 2025.
Yeah, defensively too. I think we've come to expect certain names to just always be there. So when they're not, it throws people for a loop. Yeah. And with the Alouettes, I mean, they lost a lot of man games this year. I mean, listen, every team goes through injury issues. I mean, you can't really use that as an excuse as to why you're not playing well, because this is why you have the depth. This is when we talk about testing that depth, when certain players go down, like the key players that you expect to be in the lineup, when they're out to injury, whether it's one game or on the 6-game list, then it's like, okay, who's the next man up? Who's the next one that's going to step up and assume that leadership role or just become a superstar in their own right? And a lot of guys did, and a lot of guys didn't. I think both offensively and defensively, we got to see some people step up and take on that leadership role and, just have an outstanding season. And then we also had some guys that just didn't. It's unfortunate to say.
No, it's true.
I think the way this team was built, though, and we got to give a lot of credit to Danny Machocha, Jason Moss, and the rest of the coaching staff. When players go down to injury, you don't panic. You don't start signing every Tom, Dick, and Harry just to try and fill spots. Like, you've got guys on your practice roster. They're there for a reason. so that when those guys the guys that we talked about get injured, you rely on them. You call them up and you tell them, okay, your turn now. And one of two things is going to happen. They're either going to step up to the plate and they're going to put on a show like no other, or they're going to do absolutely nothing. And thankfully, we saw more step up to the plates than we saw do nothings. So credit to the Alouettes for being smart in the way that they built their roster, as far as not just active game day roster, but to have the backup, to have the depth. And also, too, there were a couple of instances where they had to bring in extra pieces in order to, because, again, this team did go through a lot of injuries, especially at the quarterback position. At one point, we saw Cameron Dukes come into the system, which I thought was a great move because I thought, okay, this is someone I feel that plays very close to what a similar style that Davis Alexander plays. Based on the fact that he's a former Argo, I was a little leery about that signing just because of what NBT was doing for Montreal. So you'd forgive me if I'm a little gun shy about signing another former Argos quarterback, but I digress. Yeah. And Shea Patterson brought in as well.
Mm-hmm.
And he did a phenomenal job at short yardage. When Caleb Evans went down to his season-ending injury, it now became, okay, well, that the question came, okay, who's going to do the short yardage now? Because you don't want Davis doing it, especially if he's, as we said, he spent the majority of the season on the 6-game list. MBT's not going to do it. James Morgan could do it, but is there anyone else? And then you look at Shea Patterson. It's a, tall, stout young man. Surely he can fall forward for 1 yard. And he did. And he did a phenomenal job. He throughout the regular season and into the playoffs.
Yeah.
As far as when it came to the short yardage, Shea Patterson was doing the thing, scoring touchdowns. He was barreling through. I mean, again, the Ralph Wiggum gif that the Alouettes use when it comes to him.
Yes.
Chef's kiss.
If you know, you know. And we said this last week too. He was perfect on the year when it came to short yardage plays. Mm-hmm. It just came down to one play. And as we said last week, one play does not make a year. It doesn't. And hopefully it won't make a contract because obviously they need to re-sign. Shea is a free agent. But as you said, and as Coach Moss has preached, again, next man up, who's next in the hangar to come, and they were able to get what they needed. Let me quickly, for those who are watching and listening, real quickly, just want to mention that the leaders when it comes to offense, and we'll talk about defense here in a second. So leaders on offense, it was Davis Alexander. He was 158 of 218 for a 72.5% completion rate for 2,024 yards, 10 touchdowns, only 3 interceptions. He had an efficiency of 110.7. The leading receiver was Tyler Snead, 119 targets, Cliff, 84 receptions, 1,129 yards, and 4 touchdowns. I can say, by the way, that the leading receiver on the team for touchdowns was Tyson Philpott. He had 800 yards on the season. Rushing, Stevie Scott, 86 carries for 418 yards, an average of 4.9, only 1 touchdown. As I said, this is a year that it really hurt the most, where the main running backs really did not get that many touchdowns. Leading rusher for touchdowns for the Owls this year was Shea Patterson. He had 6 touchdowns. It's just a matter of, again, guys stepping up. Would it have been different if Davis had been healthy all season? I'm sure it would have. We may have gone to our predictions, as we said earlier in the season. Let's look at the defense. Over the past couple seasons, ever since Coach Moss has gone here, and the same thing when it comes to Coach Thorpe, they've had the guys that have stepped up, kept the Owls in the game, especially when there are times over the past couple of seasons where the Owls could not score. We went through those couple of things when for whatever reason, the Owls couldn't score in the third quarter. They couldn't score in the first quarter. It did change slightly this year. But the defense, The defense did such a good job this year, and everybody stood up, especially again with the loss that started early in the season when it came to the loss of free agent DB Reggie Stubblefield. But we had some guys who were able to not only replace Stubblefield, but also to make it a huge name for themselves. And it always seems to be the case when it comes to these defensive guys. Just like Nento did. Go through a couple of us that come in, play well, just well enough. Go through a little bit of adversity where you're not playing that well, but then something flips. And you've done really well. And they start doing really, really well. And we had a couple of guys on defense this year that did exactly that.
We sure did. And so incredibly impressed with Lorenzo Burns. 2024, he came in with a bunch of hype. A lot of people are saying, "Oh, this guy is going to be absolutely outstanding, just a true stud." But then, towards the end of the year, and even into the playoff game in the Eastern Final, he was getting burnt left, right, and center by everybody, and to the point where, like, why is this guy on the field? And we went through this with Wesley Sutton. We went through this with KB Nento, as you alluded to. This year, or 2024 into 2025, that was the big. That Lorenzo Burns pretty much had occupied that spot as the guy that we want to see. Something's got to change with this guy, and we want to see improvement. But boy, did we ever see the improvement! Like, even in training camp, Lorenzo looked like a completely different player, and my goodness, he really came along in a big way. And as you said, stepped up when this team needed him to, and played absolutely outstanding on defense. I mean, he's also got Wesley Sutton, as a as a mentor on the field as well. And Wesley's just been so effusive with praise when it comes to Lorenzo Burns and how he's come along. And I guess because Wesley, again, a couple of years ago, he was that guy. He was the guy that was just looking like a square peg in a round hole kind of thing. Like, just didn't look like he belonged. But then he got it figured out and ended up becoming a superstar in the process. And there's no question in my mind that Lorenzo Burns has all the tools needed to be that superstar here in the Canadian Football League. And the fact that he's going to do it from Montreal makes a good thing even better as far as I'm concerned. He really impressed me this year. I mean, a lot of players on defense this year just played absolutely phenomenal football. But for what Lorenzo Burns was able to do this year, it did not go unnoticed. Let's put it that way. The impact that he's had and got me even more excited for 2026, knowing that guys like Wesley Sutton, KB Nento, Najee Murray, who I'm going to do a little bit of spoiler here, apparently has extended with the Montreal Alouettes. He was a pending free agent, but
that's just about to say.
There you go. I mean, it's not officially official by the team, but it's from his agent, so that's good enough for me. So yeah, Najee Murray, who again we had on the show earlier this year and played phenomenal football, and we also had Lorenzo on too to talk about his his ascension. So I look at the secondary, and they like anybody else, they go through their trials and tribulations. There are times where they get guys that are banged up and not able to perform. But for the most part, this secondary played some pretty outstanding football this year. I would like to see a little more ball hawking, but have a little bit more of that threat. But again, I came away very impressed with what Lorenzo did on defense this year. I look at some of the other players that stepped up in a big way. Jeffrey Conte-Arcu earned his extension. I mean,
yes, he did
in a big way. My goodness, what he has done, a second-year player to catch fire the way he did. And again, you're playing with guys like Tyrese Beverett, Darnell Sankey, Tyrell Richards. I mean, you have no choice but to get better, as far as I'm concerned. And they always say, if you're not getting better, you're getting worse. Jeffrey Conte-Arcu simply just got better and became so much of a presence, clearly, that, again, knowing full well that Darnell Sankey was a pending free agent, obviously, the play of Jeffrey Conte-Arcu and the play of Tyrell Richards at that linebacker position that was enough. That Danny Machucha said, "That's enough. I'm convinced. I'm sold. These guys stick around." And Sankey, if he wants to leave, he can leave. So to me, that's a tremendous vote of confidence, and that's also to the work that, again, Coach Greg Quick did with guys like Beverett, Conte Arcu, and so on. And that's why Coach Quick will definitely be missed. And whoever has to step into those shoes, they better bring everything they got, because that's going to be a very tough act to follow. But yeah, I look at this defense and so many key elements to it. And I would be remiss if we didn't talk about the return of Sean Lemon to the Montreal Alouettes. His indefinite suspension was lifted.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it came at a time when this team definitely needed help, because they had guys that were banged up and not able to rush the quarterback so effectively. Was glad to see Sean come back and sort of try to finish his career on his terms. Would have been absolutely phenomenal for him to come and help this team win another Grey Cup. Unfortunately, it just wasn't in the cards. Now he's a free agent because he was ultimately ended up on the practice roster, and practice roster players do get released. So technically, he is a free agent. Wouldn't be mad to see him come back. Or does maybe he finally sign with Hamilton to complete the Kevin Glenn tour, and being able to, it would just be the second player to say that they've been a member of all 9 CFL clubs. I don't know if that's a motivation for him or not. I couldn't tell you, but when I look at this team defensively and the pieces they have in place, and again, I would be absolutely remiss if I didn't mention Isaac Adeyemi Berglund.
Yeah.
What a stud. What a absolutely phenomenal player.
Career year for sacks. Was in the 1-2. Was in the one when it came to sacks in the for the CFL lead. Was there 1-2 when it came to the CFL lead itself. Even with a slight blip. I mean, he went through a game where 4 games where he didn't have a sack at all, but yet he still had a career year on sacks. So it's, and then we have to mention, because we really didn't mention it last show, just real quick blip. Him doing the intros for the schedule was epic. Was epic in itself. Everybody hasn't seen the Alouettes schedule release. Go see it. You'll understand what I'm talking about. That's the Isaac Adeyemi Berglund that was on the Owls podcast 2 weeks in a row. 2 weeks in a row. 2 weeks in a row. Just he's taken advantage every advantage that he could here in Montreal.
Yeah. Also, video bombed our interview with Austin Mack at Grey Cup, and we got to speak with him as well. I was like, okay, all right, Isaac, let's give you some attention now. Clearly, you're in desperate need of. So let's.
He video bombed us in that one too for Flightdeck Live.
Yeah. So I again, and also too, we'd be remiss if we didn't mention that he scored his very first professional touchdown in the very first game, in the home opener, no less.
That's true.
This year. So this was a career year for Isaac, and I mean, as disappointing as it was for the Alouettes to not win the Grey Cup, I feel even more disappointed for Isaac, because if anyone deserved all the flowers, all the accolades, it was him. He should have been most outstanding Canadian instead of Nathan Rourke. He should be a Grey Cup champion. All the things that he should be. But you know what? Knowing Isaac like we do, this really is just going to make him even hungrier. This is going to keep that fire lit throughout the off season. And
yeah,
I feel sorry for anyone who's going to line up with him in training camp this coming May, because he knows how close he was to the finish. He knows how close he was to becoming a Grey Cup champion. And that's just going to make him work harder and have an even bigger chip on his shoulder. And folks, this guy is an absolute stud, an absolute leader, and so thankful that he is on this team and has embraced being a Montreal Alouette, has embraced being a Montreal. He's even doing charity events still in the off season here.
Yeah.
For less fortunate families at Christmas time. I mean, that just speaks to his character as a human being more than anything else. I mean, phenomenal football player or not, but the fact that he's just such a good person as well, and just so much fun to talk to, so much fun to be around, and just he's the consummate teammate. I think that's the best way to describe him. He is absolutely 100% the kind of guy you want on your team. If you could have 12 Isaac Adeyemi Berglunds on your defense, you'd be unstoppable. You'd be truly unstoppable.
Yeah. And I will admit, looking at the let me go to the quick stats here, and the Owls do have some work for next year that they need to make up, because with them losing Darnell Sankey had 101 defensive tackles this year, 103 overall. Ty Beverett was second with 83. Team lead for sacks was Isaac Adeyemi Berglund, but again, the second on the team. Another issue that the Owls had to deal with, it was Sean Oakman, who was let go for reasons. And which, during the playoffs, that could have been a huge deal too. But as you said, other people were able to step up. So it's just a matter of what's going to have to happen. Who's going to take the spot of Darnell Sankey in 2026? Will it come through one of the vets? Will it come through one of our new guys who just recently re-signed? Or will it come through the draft itself? We don't know. But leading receiver, also leading a person who had the most interceptions on the year. It was a tie this year between Kabian Ento with 4 and Tyrese Beverett with 4. The guys were able to step up, as they said. We just need to see what changes are going to be made coming to the 2026 season. And, I'm sure everybody within the organization, including Danny Mack and Coach Thorpe and Coach Moss, are going to make sure that these spots are filled properly coming into camp.
Yeah. I think the one thing that'll be interesting to see when it comes to free agency there are certain players that I can't help but wonder, would they want to become Montreal Alouettes? Would they want to see the culture that's been built here and they themselves decide they want to be a part of it? I think more and more you're starting to see that. And whereas Danny Machocha was very proud of the fact that for the past 2 seasons, and possibly even this season, we don't know yet because we haven't seen the numbers or heard the numbers, but the Alouettes had all this success despite having the lowest payroll in the Canadian Football League. In 2023, they had the lowest and won the Grey Cup. In 2024, they had the lowest payroll and had the best record in the Canadian Football League and almost went back to the Grey Cup. 2025, again, we don't know what happened, financially with this team, but
I'm actually worried. I'm actually worried that with all the injuries, that how close the Alouettes are going to be to the salary cap max, and if they were anywhere close. Because remember, even coming into the year, we, with the surprise $400,000, maybe that might be the saving grace for the Owls, not being near or over the cap to potentially lose, be fined, or to lose a draft pick.
The thing is, though, when I look at the additions that were made during the season as a result of the injuries, and let's not forget too, like once you go on the 6-game list, your salary does not count against the salary cap.
It's true too.
So I don't feel like, and again, if nothing else, I won't say he's miserly, but I mean, Danny Machocha's shown that he doesn't have to, blow the wallet open just to land a player, nor will he, make a big splashy move just for the sake of doing so.
Yeah.
But this year, again, with the salary cap going up, and as you mentioned, the additional $400,000 that was in the salary cap or salary management system, if you want to get technical, could Danny finally make a bit of a splashy move, bring someone in? I don't think it's going to be just for the sake of signing someone. He's going to do that. I mean, obviously, it's got to be someone that fits in with this system. And let's be honest, the Alouettes team over the past 3-4 years have shown that they can be extremely competitive, even when the chips are down, even when they lose a lot of their star players due to injury. They still find ways to hang into the game. Like it's been a long time since this Alouettes team has truly looked outclassed by an opponent. I mean, whatever Danny does as far as bringing in players, whether it's for temporary relief or as part of who he thinks would be a good fit within the team itself, he doesn't do it just willy-nilly. Like that's one thing that I've come to learn and appreciate when it comes to Danny Machocha as far as building a roster is he does his due diligence. He makes sure that this is like if he signs a player, there's a reason why he's signing this player. It's not just because they have a name or they've done this, that, and the other. Like there's a reason why this guy was brought in to be a part of this organization, because he knows how important it is to keep this nucleus intact, as well as making sure that the chemistry in the locker room stays unmatched. And that's the one thing year after year we have seen, is that this locker room truly is a family. They are a brotherhood. They truly get how important it is to be a part of this organization. And the last thing you want to do is bring in some hotshot player, even if he's got the great stats and can do this, that, and the other. Drop him in there with a big contract and expect him to play nice with everybody. Danny doesn't operate in that fashion, and I respect him for that. I respect the fact that he makes the right moves. I mean, they're not always the right, like they're not perfect moves, but the moves that he makes sense, and 9 times out of 10 they work out for the better. So he's going to have a couple blips along the like I said, MBT. I mean, hindsight's always 20/20, right? But MBT was not the right move to make. Okay, but you tried. The reasoning made sense, and in theory, it should have been a move that would have worked. It's just when push came to shove, ultimately it was not. And again, I definitely do not see MBT back with the Alouettes in 2026. You're going to get moves like that. Every once in a while, you're going to make a transaction that I won't say you regret, or one that you would have liked to have had back. But I think by and large, the way that he and Jason Moss have assembled this team, how they built this roster and drafted and so on, it's to ensure that this team is successful for years to come. And I'm just curious to see what Danny does in free agency, not just keeping the players that he feels are a part of this nucleus, like the pending free agents, like make sure he's re-signed a lot of the people that he wants to, and a lot of people that he should have re-signed have been re-signed. So in that sense, he's accomplished his goal there. Now the matter, it comes down to what else can he do to make this team get back to the Grey Cup again and get the win this time around.
Yep, that's true. 2025 was an interesting season, to say the least. Lucky for the Alouettes to be back to the Grey Cup for the second time in 3 years, even though it didn't end as Alouettes Nation would have liked. But obviously, with the end of this season, comes something brand new, and we can't wait to see what's going to happen in 2026. I think first, and before we go, I want to at least. It came up earlier before, Cliff, and as I said, this is the final show of 2025. It is also the final show of our 10th broadcast season, and I think I wanted to bring up this comment from Brad. Grateful to have actual complete coverage of the Alouettes all season long. Appreciate your dedication, boys. Happy Hanukkah, Feliz Navidad, Merry Festivus to all of the Owls community. Greatly appreciated for the comment and for the accolades, Brad.
100%.
Joke, and we say that if it wasn't for you, we'd be talking to ourselves. It's kind of true, but you know what? We've been building on 9 years, 10 seasons of things, and we can't wait to actually start our 10th year by starting our 11th broadcast season in 2026.
Well, and let's take a quick look. Let's take a look at what we've done this year, Tim. I mean, we've been blessed. We've worked for it, but we've been truly blessed this year to be able to talk with so many great individuals. I go back to, we spoke with Hall of Famers like Chip Cox, Brian Chu, who got into the Hall of Fame this year, Jim Pop for our 300th episode. And let's not forget, folks, we did hit the 300 episode plateau this year.
Yeah.
In and of itself is incredible. The fact that we did it during our 10th broadcast season, outstanding. And a lot of that is because, yes, this Montreal Alouettes team was successful enough for us to keep talking and having shows throughout the playoffs and even beyond. But to be able to talk with Jim Pop, for example, for our 300th episode was an incredible treat. If you haven't checked it out already, well, first of all, shame on you, because it's a pretty fantastic episode. But go check it out, because what a journey. But we got to see,
also, by the way, real quickly, tonight's show, 39th show of the year, which I'm not mistaken, is a record for us here at the Alouettes Flightdeck in a single season.
And again, as we discussed, we've been so fortunate to be able to talk to so many incredible people throughout the year, and not just
stay tuned for the list. I love the yearly list. I love the yearly list.
It is outstanding. I mean, and this year being a member, being part of the media at Grey Cup as well. I mean, and just getting so much recognition from other media members as well. And a lot of them, they're learning about us for the first time, but they're interested. They want to know about us. And I'm so thrilled. I'm so thrilled that we've been able to share our story with them and be a part of covering this monumental event. The fact that the Montreal Alouettes were in it helped the cause big time. Mm-hmm. But the fact that we've been recognized as well as, true members of the media in the eyes of the league, the teams, and fellow media members. I mean, you can't put a price on that. I mean, this just proves that we're not just a couple of middle-aged dorks just talking about football. Like, we're here because we want to bring the content. We're here because we want to tell the stories. We want to really, truly put together the best possible show for each and every one of you that's listening or watching us. To me, that's what drives me. That's why, like, you tell me we've done 39 episodes this year. Like, wow, that's amazing. A little part of me is like, that's it? We could have done more. But I mean, and that's the thing. That's what keeps us motivated, I think, is the fact that we've done a lot. And yet I
almost
still feel there's so much
shows, I think. Almost 60 shows when you include Flightdeck Live. I think we did 28 Flightdeck Lives this year.
Yeah. And that too has grown by leaps and bounds. And I love it. I love the fact that we can take this show on the road, so to speak, and go to these.
70. I can't add. 39 plus 28 is 67. It's almost 70 shows. By the way, thank you to our significant others, for sure.
Wait, how many shows do you say total?
Well, 39 plus 28. Yeah.
So that makes 6, 7.
Oh God, I didn't mean to do that. Oh jeez,
got him.
That was just. I did not. That was not a setup. I swear to you. Oh my God.
Once again, shout out to Generation Z. But oh God.
My God.
Oh my gosh.
Oh man.
But yes, Tim, I'm so thrilled that we were able to do this. This was a hell of a year. You're right. Didn't end quite the way we would have liked. I mean, it would have been awesome if Montreal could have gotten their 9th Grey Cup championship. They talk about the grind for 9. That would have been it. Because then it would be like, okay, well, the grind for 9, they had the grade 8. The grind for 9 is done. So what would you call the pursuit of the 10th Grey Cup? I guess there's only one way to find out, is to win that 9th Grey Cup. So wasn't this year? You know that this team is going to do everything possible to make sure that in 2026, when the game is played in Calgary, then they win that 10th championship, or the 9th championship. Davis Alexander is coming back. God willing, he will be 100% healthy. He is QB1, QB fun. I am so looking forward to a 100% healthy Davis Alexander leading this football team.
This will be a different off season for Davis for sure. It'll be a different off season for Davis for sure. They're going to keep an eye on Davis.
Well, and maybe that's just it. Maybe someone's got to save Davis Alexander from Davis Alexander, kind of thing. I mean, listen, the fact that he wants to put in that work means so much. The fact that the Alouettes extended Davis Alexander to 2028.
I know.
I mean, he was already under contract, but for what he was able to do in the limited time that he was on the field in 2025, that speaks volumes to how they feel about his leadership, how they feel about his ability to win the big game, to be the leader that this team needs. I mean, we talked about it, like, he is going to be that guy. There is no question in my mind. He's going to lead this team to multiple Grey Cups and win them without question. I mean, I think in a weird kind of way, losing the Grey Cup may end up being the best thing that ever happens to Davis Alexander. Because think back to 2000, when Montreal Alouettes lost the Grey Cup to the BC Lions in heartbreaking fashion. Anthony Calvillo was the quarterback for that team. And I think that loss, as much as it stung, helped him get to that point. And then 2 years later, They're back in the Grey Cup and they win it. The AC finally wins the championship for the Alouettes.
Yep.
And goes on to have a phenomenal career. As he also led this team to multiple Grey Cups and won multiple Grey Cups. I see a lot of that in Davis Alexander. I see the potential in him to truly be a superstar in this league. I know a lot of people don't like his cocky attitude as a claim, or say he's got a punchable face, or all the things that people dislike about him. And I think really a lot of that comes down to, well, if he was playing for your team, you would love him. But because he's not, you don't like him. And that's fine. That motivates him. That fuels him. He doesn't care. He's like, let the haters
still
hate.
11-0.
Still undefeated in the regular season. And he's undefeated until he's not. So
exactly. Again, very blessed to be able to do what we've done this season. We are looking forward to returning in 2026. So your boys will be taking a little bit of time off. We're currently scheduled to be back sometime in February, but make sure you stay tuned to all of our socials. But we can't thank every single one of you for allowing us to do what we do, especially during our 10th broadcast season. Again, we were very blessed to be able to bring you all the information and all the news and all the talk that we did over this past season. It just so happened to be another Grey Cup season, which was fantastic in itself. I mean, last two we've been so lucky. But beyond that, couldn't have done it without you, Cliff, and you, the fans. So, wishing everybody the best of holidays. Happy Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, or however you may celebrate this time. Happy New Year. Please, everybody be safe. We want to make sure that we do see you in 2026 as we start our next season. So
our 11th season. I mean, that's
I know.
And officially 10 years in as a podcast. Like we'll be next year. And I know
exactly.
I know that tripped up and even tripped us up too, the whole 10th season thing. Because again, if you want to get technical, it's 10 seasons, not 10 years. And I know most people celebrate 10 years, but then that would have been our 11th season and so on, and just a whole mishmash. But I'm going to echo your statements, Tim. Again, thank you to each and every one of you that's listened to us, downloaded the podcast to listen, or jumped on YouTube and watched us.
Our numbers have grown. Thank you. Our numbers are grown exponentially. So in some ways by over 300%. And we can't thank you.
No. And again, this motivates us. This wants us to keep going. And I've said before, and I'll say it again, we've accomplished a lot. We have done a lot of amazing things. And yet I still feel we have so much more to go. We still have more stories to tell. We still have more people to talk to. We still have more things we want to share. And it has been amazing from, the start of free agency all the way to the Grey Cup game and even a little bit beyond. It has been a hell of a ride. This 2025 season was truly a memorable one for so many reasons. And the fact that you folks have joined us nearly every step of the way, if you have, we appreciate it. Again, if this is your first time watching the show, we hope we did enough to convince you, hey, let me check out what these guys are up to and let me see what they're going to do in 2026. And, hit that subscribe button, hit the notification button so that when we do come back, you will be notified for it. So again, like Tim said, thank you. From the bottom of our hearts, we appreciate each and every one of you that has participated and joined us on this adventure, because it really is like nothing else. This is a labor of love, and we definitely appreciate everybody getting to share in this with us. It's like nothing else. I can't say enough. It is just so wonderful.
Yeah. If you missed any part of our 10th broadcast season, make sure you do check out www.flightdeck.ca, or you check over on YouTube where you can find all the broadcast versions or the audio versions, and including all of our season this year of Flight Deck Live. So for the final time here for the 2025 season, for the final time for our 10th broadcast season, we will be seeing you in 2026. So for the final time for Cliffy D, I'm Tim Capper. We're on final approach.